The House Judiciary Committee is set to hear from state's attorneys and the Department of Juvenile Services in an effort to understand the juvenile crime crisis. Baltimore City State's Attorney Ivan Bates calling for changes to the Juvenile Justice Reform Act and the Juvenile Interrogation Act. From stolen cars skyrocketing to gun violence, juveniles are finding themselves as perpetrators and victims in the latest crime crisis.
I think everybody recognizes that we need to do something.
Baltimore City State's Attorney Ivan Bates pushing for policy change in Annapolis, taking aim at the current laws he says are handcuffing prosecutors and police, keeping them from ensuring young offenders face consequences.
The time is now. They're really looking at these issues.
Examples of growing frustration continue to mount. Parents telling Fox 45 News the juvenile justice system isn't working. A mom whose 14-year-old daughter stealing cars despite being on home monitoring.
She stole the vehicle. They called me so abruptly in the middle of the day. I let them know that she does this. She get in trouble every day. They need to start locking these kids up. They need to change the laws.
And another mom telling Fox 45 News her son's troubling behavior finding its way into her own home.
I saw shell casings in his room from him shooting a gun.
Police showing up at her house armed with a search warrant.
And they said it was for armed robbery and assault.
Right now, kids 13 years old and younger cannot be charged with certain crimes, including stolen cars. Giving more options to prosecutors is something Bates says lawmakers need to make happen.
We need to be able to deal with all felonies, and not just all felonies, but some specific misdemeanors, all handguns and thefts of vehicles.
Police cannot question kids as a suspect or a witness without notifying parents and getting the green light from an attorney. It's part of the Juvenile Interrogation Act. And Bates says not only does he believe the law hinders investigations, but he questions the legal standing.
I strongly believe it's unconstitutional.
Why?
I believe that we're trying to take away some rights by acting like we're giving any others. And that's unfortunately what I feel is the beginning of the end. We must protect the rights of the minors as well as making sure parents have the right to be parents to their children. You understand the good intentions, but it's gone too far. It's violating people's constitutional rights.
Without changes, Bates argues the law will end up being challenged in court. And the concerns stretch beyond Bates. Prosecutors from all across Maryland are sounding the alarm about juvenile justice laws.
They know that, nothing's really going to happen to them if they keep their crime in a certain limit of types of crime.
They come in, we can't detain them, they're back in the community the next day.
We all have the same sad song, no matter where we are in the state.
Governor Wes Moore says tackling the surge is a priority, vowing to ensure there's accountability, but shy on specifics. Bates says he's talked with House Speaker Adrian Jones, Senate President Bill Ferguson, and House Judiciary Chairman Luke Clippinger.
They made the commitment to make sure they look at this and do what they can.
Without specific commitments to change, it's unclear what could be decided.
If we don't do something to hold these young people accountable, they will continue to run and almost have lawlessness in our cities. And we can't have that.
So far, this week's hearing is the only one lawmakers have scheduled to talk about juvenile crime, meaning lawmakers will likely be left to deal with the concerns in January when the General Assembly session begins. And this week's meeting comes on the heels of several violent incidents involving juveniles in Baltimore over the past 2 months. Fox 45 News obtaining video of an 11-year-old being let out of handcuffs after allegedly stealing a car. Police say he was too young to face charges. In mid-August, 3 teens were arrested after allegedly shooting at police from a stolen car and fleeing to a nearby home in Northeast Baltimore. 2 of the suspects are under 18, and police say both have previously been arrested for auto theft. And earlier this month, a 14-year-old was one of 2 teens arrested in connection with the Brooklyn Homes mass shooting. Fox 45 News has learned the 14-year-old was wearing an ankle monitor at the time, raising questions about how the Department of Juvenile Services monitors children in the system. Political analyst John Dede joining us on Fox 45 Morning News, saying lawmakers need to have a strong juvenile crime plan in place coming out of this week's hearing. He says the governor needs to be active in the discussion.
In Maryland, you only have a 90-day session. What they need to do is they're going to have a hearing Wednesday. That's all well and good, but they need to already have a plan to have hearings in October and November. You just can't get everyone fired up for one hearing and then that's it, drop the ball from there. Also, the governor has to play a role in this and voice what he wants done.
During a recent sit-down interview with political commentator Armstrong Williams, Governor Moore acknowledging Maryland's juvenile crime laws need to change.
We have got to make the adjustments necessary that there can be real measurements and levels of accountability. When you have a person who is a repeat violent offender, I'm sorry, I'm coming after you.
In a statement to Fox 45 News, Governor Moore's office says he will continue working with legislators and the community to bring solutions that provide real measures of accountability. But the governor has not mentioned any specifics on what he wants to change. Senator Jill Carter authored some of the legislation in question. She says she doesn't think the laws are the main issue contributing to juvenile crime.
I think that police and prosecutors need to be better educated if they're believing that they can't do anything, which I don't know why they would believe that.
If you want to make your voice heard ahead of this week's hearing, House Speaker Adrian Jones and Senate President Bill Ferguson are two of the most powerful lawmakers in Annapolis. We have their phone numbers and email addresses listed for you right there on your screen. To reach Jones, you can call 410-841-3800. For Ferguson, the number to call is 410-841-3600. And if you'd like to connect with more of your elected leaders, our website is making it easy. Go to foxbaltimore.com, click the menu at the top left of your screen and select Lawmakers. From there, you can enter your home address to find the officials who represent you at the local, state, and federal levels. And that brings us to our question of the day. Is the General Assembly responsible for the surge in juvenile crime? So far, 95% of people who have voted say yes. To make your voice heard, head to foxbaltimore.com/vote. And if you were watching the Ravens game this afternoon, you may have seen a public service announcement on gun violence from the U.S. Attorney for Maryland, Erek Barron. He sat down with Fox 45's Vincent Hill to discuss what's behind the message and his hope moving forward.
U.S. Attorney Erek Barron says he hopes just 60 seconds will change someone's mind when it comes to picking up a gun.
It takes a lot of communication.
U.S. Attorney Erek Barron sitting down with Fox 45 to discuss his new crime-fighting strategy, a first of its kind for his office.
You said it's something that your office has never done before. So the big question, why now?
I'm committed to not just doing the same thing and expecting a different result.
Taking that fight right to your television screen through a public service announcement about gun violence.
One thing we haven't done in this fight is, from our agency, promote a public awareness campaign.
We got an exclusive behind-the-scenes look at that campaign, which includes a starring role by Barron himself.
It's a drama and an appeal to emotion. Obviously, something bad has happened. We're in a classroom setting. We're really committed to using every tool available.
Barron says one of the most important tools in curbing crime, family.
How important is the role of family in this fight against crime and gun violence?
It's huge, and we don't talk about it enough. Bullets don't just rip through individuals, they rip through families, through households. They have huge impacts on those that we love.
What is your hope for this public service announcement?
The hope really is that this, in conjunction with all the other things that we're working on, is that some individuals out there may take a pause from either committing violence or being around others who are committing violence. And many of us, we might not think about the consequences for ourselves, but we care about our mother, our grandmother, our sister.
Barron says since his time in office and working with the state's attorney, Ivan Bates, and the Baltimore Police Department, he has seen a reduction in crime, but there's still a lot of work to be done when it comes to getting guns off the streets. Vincent Hill, Fox 45 News.